Tell me when we're live.
We're live.
You're ready. Okay, great. So welcome everyone. This is the City of Westminster Historic District Commission. It's Wednesday, November 8th, 2023 at 7 o'clock at City Hall at 1838 Emerald Hill Lane. I'm going to call us to order with our statement of authority and our roll call. So our statement of authority is the Westminster Historic District Commission derives its authority from Chapter 164, Article 9A of the City Code, which is authorized by Maryland Code Annotated Land Use Article, Division 1, Single Jurisdiction, Planning and Zoning, Title 8, Historic Preservation. The qualifications of the Westminster Historic District Commission are on file at the City Administration Building at 45 West Main Street, and the file is open to the public. And tonight you have Krista McMaster's chair,
Grace Kelly Lawler, Chris Amadori, Melissa Thorne, city staff,
and Mark Depot, the Director of Community Planning and Development.
Terrific. We have guests tonight with actual business and they have lives they want to get onto. And so I'm proposing that we move our approval of minutes summaries. We can do that and old business so that we can accommodate number 4, new business, review of the updated information of the architecture of the 4-unit multiple family dwelling use at 288 East Main Street. I'm moving that up. I haven't altered the agenda as published. It's just moving it so that we can accommodate it. Yes. So let's begin with a review by city staff.
thank you. So I have a staff report here. It's also available online. And it's got a few pages to it. Again, we're not going to go over all the details that we've been discussing the last few months. But I will highlight a few things. So on October 4th at the last meeting here, the Historic District Commission viewed the proposed architectural elevations for the proposed 4-apartment building at 288 East Main Street. And in that staff report, the department provided standards of the 2016 development design preferences that were outlined and that should be applied to the development for the Historic District Commission's consideration and recommendation. Following the October 4th meeting, the department received an updated architectural elevation and information related to those design preferences from Dean Camlin, the architectural office. So tonight we'll be taking a look at that, and in the report we have broken down information to help guide of the original elevations provided and then the updated elevations provided, as well as the responses and then staff's response to those things. Our staff recommendation, the staff does not believe that the updated architectural renderings meet several of the 2016 development design preferences. DCPD, Department of Community Planning and Development staff, believe that the updated front architectural elevation rendering is an improvement from the prior rendering provided, but we're interested in seeing the project take less of the contemporary residential construction approach and provide an updated elevation with an additional architectural embellishments, as well as continuing the brick veneer on the east and rear walls to maintain consistency. I have available to share with the public, as well as, I'm going to click on some of the neighboring buildings, just to provide some insight into, this always happens, trying to, there we go. Trying to navigate with the Zoom is difficult, but just to take a look in the staff report as well. Some other of what the neighbors have already existed in the neighborhood, as well as those notes. But really, what we're here tonight is for the Historic District Commission to review this information and provide feedback for the renovations, so that we can take them to the Westminster Planning and Zoning Commission.
Thank you, Melissa. Mark, do you have anything to add?
I do not, thank you.
So, have you had a chance to review this, Dean?
Yes.
Yeah.
And
You'd like to respond?
We have a revised submission.
Oh.
that addresses several of those points. So, may I pass that on?
So, yeah, have we seen them? Did
We
they
have
make-
not seen
We
it
have not seen.
because we've been working on that today.
I don't know, and we do have a 15-day thing for submissions. So
Okay.
we may not be able to make a decision tonight.
Well, it would
But-
be worthwhile, I think, just looking at them and, you know.
But best to have it presented by you. I'd love to hear some of your revisions.
Sure.
That would be great.
There's a little outline there
Thank you.
from written responses.
Yes.
Melissa was kind enough to share the staff report with us a couple of days ago.
Okay.
So that's what prompted these revisions. And if you like, we could go through each one of the points in that matrix that was in the staff report.
I would love to hear from you guys, whatever you want to say.
Okay, well, responding to the comments that were on the front elevation, the changes that we've made. We've added shutters to the windows. So that improves the embellishment of the facade. We added steps. Now, the middle door that did not have steps is really just an access panel to a sprinkler closet. And that's why I didn't really feel like it needed steps, but we've added those, you know, to mirror the other steps. Now, I did not make the steps, the concrete steps, brick or stone. That was one of the suggestions that was in the staff report. On the rear elevation, we've added 4 dormers, mirroring the 4 dormers that had been added on the front elevation. On the west side, we now have an elevation showing that, showing the brick. And staff was correct. We are allowed to have windows in that wall. The building code for walls that are between 5 feet and 10 feet away from the property line, they have to have a 1-hour fire rating, but you're allowed to have unprotected openings up to 10% of the area of the wall. So that's what allows us to put windows in there. Now, there's only 4 windows, and it turns out that there's 1 window per bedroom on that side. The spacing is the result of the interior layout. I did not include the floor plans of those units. I could do that if you need to see
Yeah,
that,
that's
but that's
substantially
really,
changed.
well, I don't know that you've seen the floor plan. I mean, I'm talking about the, you know, the actual
Yeah,
footplate.
I can't remember that. I'm not sure that really applies any.
It's really not something that you folks review. You're more interested in the exterior, but that's the explanation as to the spacing of the windows. Oh, and I've also added the elevation showing the east view, which not very many people will see because the other neighboring building is only a couple of feet away from. Now, both that elevation and the rear elevation still show vinyl siding. And the justification for that is that the building at 280 East Main, which is just to the west of this building. really is a combination of a small amount of brick and a lot of clapboard siding. It's not really vinyl, I think it's aluminum siding.
That runs on the motive, is it?
No, it's the
Doctor's office.
it's the old doctor's office, where Tim Hatfield has his office now.
And the one to the east also has siding on the back.
Oh, I didn't know
Yeah, there's brick, but siding on the back.
that. So that's the justification for not covering all four sides of this building with brick. And I mentioned that in the next item there under wall finishes. Now, as far as contemporary features, I've quoted part of the standard number 9 from the Secretary of the Interior's standards for rehabilitation. The new work will be differentiated from the old and will be compatible with the historic material, features, size, scale, and proportion, and massing to protect the integrity of the property and its environment. And my understanding of the interpretation of that is that historic fabric should be preserved, and if it's necessary, replaced in kind. But new construction should be obviously a product of the current environment. And that's really, I think, the justification for building this new building with new materials. And not embellishing it with false historic trim and features like that.
I don't want to cut you off from your thought.
That's fine. That's really all
I think a big part of that is not so much it should be obviously new, because that's really not compatible. I think what the Park Service is saying with that is that you don't have to do it to the point where you're tricking people into thinking that something is historic when it's really not.
Yeah.
And you don't need to go scabbing up from old history buildings to get the perfect doorknob, because that doorknob maybe never came from there. And a big part of that was cornices and, the ceiling, what do you call those?
medallion.
Those medallions. People were scabbing up medallions and scabbing up chandeliers and trying to make kind of country homes look like stately Annapolis homes. And, the whole thing was maybe the right time period, but it wasn't the right anything. It didn't match anything. And I was saying, oh, then we'll just get brand new chandeliers. So the idea was to keep it compatible and not make it obvious.
Yeah.
And not make it obviously stolen. The materials should blend back so they don't stick out like a sore thumb. So anyway, that's my little moment of education that I understand. Not so far off from your understanding, that's for sure. All right, well, is there anything else you all would like to share with us?
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
No.
I mean, it's such an improvement from the last incarnation of this. And I think that this building, from what we know, it was a simple building anyhow. It didn't have a lot of embellishments, so that's brick facade, right? Real brick?
Well, Jordan and I have been talking about that. What I had specified is a true brick veneer that's a very thin material.
But it's real brick though, right? It's
Real
the veneer. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Real
Like
brick.
it looks that big.
Yeah,
But what are you falling on?
well, and he was asking, well, can I put, full thickness brick, full depth brick on it? And yes, it just takes a little bit more foundation to hold that up. But, that's, you know.
But the end part, it is almost exactly the same. And it sounds like if we do it to veneer, I could do it myself. Save a little money, because this is getting out of control with everything.
And, I just out of curiosity, is there a use life on lick and stick brick?
Well, it's not lick and stick.
That's what I thought it was.
He thought it was, and he was worried about, you know.
Having
some of
it
that-
for 50 years.
No, this is, it's a system that uses perforated metal backing with clips that actually holds the bricks on there, and then you use a mortar material to, you know, to fill out the joints and everything. But it's really kind of mechanically fastened onto.
Almost like a stucco system.
No, because the metal backing is not, it's perforated, but it has little fins sticking out. And that's what engages with the edges of the brick. And then the metal fins get covered up by the mortar. So it's a really, it's a lot more reliable than, you know, the traditional lick and stick stone and brick that, you know, you see on a lot of places.
And be some like standard red brick-ish,
I think it's available in a lot of different.
but you're gonna use red, right? I mean, they just, yeah.
Well, yeah, actually, Jordan was saying, you know, look, the previous building that was there was painted blue.
Yeah.
So,
I don't mind using red, okay?
No, not like a yellow or a crazy white with gray or
you
something.
mean
Yeah,
like that,
red looks,
like that building in the report that's 3 different colors?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, if this, yeah, I mean, red brick was traditionally used for that kind of stuff, so I think that, you know. That looks good.
Yeah, and there's, you know, there are a lot of, you know, red brick structures.
Yeah.
So I need to ask a question of city staff. Because this was submitted tonight, can we make a decision tonight, or do we need to wait till next month so that all the commissioners have an opportunity of 15-day review?
I think you make a decision tonight. Again, it's basically their response to the staff report. And whether it's a visual or Dean is making a statement that he wants to add shutters that weren't previously provided, it's still addressing some of the concerns the staff pointed out at the meeting. It's not uncommon, even at planning commission, that they'll at the meeting actually provide revised elevations or plans to address some of the concerns, maybe reduce some conditions of approval, or to highlight, you know, again, that ability to address some of those comments.
I didn't want to jump the gun, you know, if there was something prohibiting us from making a decision this evening. I don't want to make any promises, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
All right, so procedurally, you're allowed to consider this and make a decision and take action this evening.
I believe so, yes.
I know. All right, do we have any other questions?
Latch shutters, white door, what were you thinking? I'm just,
Well, you know, I showed green shutters, but they don't have to be that
I
color.
thought you were just using different.
Can I give you a hint? Black fades quick, that's what I've got.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, say.
Black fades really quickly, that's
Oh.
what I have.
I do want to make, emphasize that these would not be real shutters.
They'd be plastic shutters.
They would be plastic shutters.
Won't just last as long as they do.
Yeah,
They fade too, they do, I have black too,
they
they fade.
do. I've got
So
mediums
good.
on my house, and
They fade.
I need to be repainted.
Yeah.
Can you even repaint plastic shutters?
Yeah,
Yeah, spray
it doesn't last all that long, but.
You're not thinking of a yellow door though, are you? I'm just curious.
No,
Okay.
Sorry.
No.
I'm just curious,
Even if it was yellow, I don't think we would.
no, it's not that, I wasn't gonna, I'm curious, because I mean, I think whatever you put should pop.
Yeah.
I was like, but that's. Anyway, yes, no more questions.
How about you, Grace?
And the structure behind,
Mm-hmm.
what's happening with that? Is
Oh.
that staying?
Yes, that's staying. You'd be removing those wood furring strips from the brick, right?
I would like to actually side that, but,
Mm-hmm.
well, you guys, okay, and actually, what I found out though, when I removed the old gamut, I was actually approved to remove that too. So, I mean, I'm preserving it.
But it's just not being preserved well. You know what I mean? You can preserve lots of things, but there's just standards and guidelines that are better, and you know, brick really is very resistant if it's left alone.
And it's pretty,
It really
but it's
is,
just pretty,
yeah.
and that's the
It's
original
the
structure.
real stuff, right? Anything you put on top of it is just stuff.
Yeah.
It's not like you have to.
Get you water damage in that too, I mean, you're creating a barrier and you get moisture and then you're gonna have.
Finding all kinds of issues,
It's got a new roof, a metal
metal roofs,
seam roof,
and that's really providing protectiveness.
it is.
It is doing something, but siding is just. And you gotta replace it sooner or later, whereas brick,
I thought that was part of the deal, like that, just preserve that structure in that way for this property since they tore down the. I thought that's,
I would think that's really something we pursue.
I mean, it's so pretty,
Right.
it's such a pretty little structure.
There's something new in that.
No,
All right, so what is the commission's pleasure? We've asked all the questions we've going to, we've got all the information we've gone to. We have before us a plethora of remedies that have been offered to city staff concerned. I'm wondering how we feel. Are we ready to come to a recommendation? Do we need another month to think about it and discuss things with city staff? I mean, they did a lot of work, an awful lot of work.
If you want comments from city staff?
Yes. My ears are open.
Well, twofold. One of the agreements for the demolition of the most historic house in Westminster was to maintain that back building, and no, it was never approved to be demoed. We did not approve that aspect of the demolition permit. County may have, the city did not. I think staff is still gonna be, and I understand the type of faux brick that's being proposed. This is the first development recently within, a recent development replacing again the oldest structure in the city, and to not pay homage to that aspect and not require a little better development. And again, whatever's approved with this one is going to carry to the next one and next one and next one. So this is a statement, review and approval. I think staff is still going to state that it should be brick, not what's being proposed. It's what we require with other development, and that's fully wrapped by brick. So I think I like the shutters, I like the windows on the side, the additional dormers. We looked at the balcony. We didn't make comments about the spindle of the balcony because we noticed around the city there are post spindle both, posts of different types go out. But again, I think staff is still looking at this as being a marquee replacement. And I don't think it's trying to replace identically what was there. That is, I agree, that's not the goal. But again, this is new development, downtown Westminster. That's going to also be the benchmark, beginning benchmark of future development that we see for redevelopment in downtown. So I think at the end of the day, staff's still going to make statements at planning commission that durable is durable. Vinyl siding is not durable. This faux brick doesn't sound very durable in the sense of what the type of development is being proposed for downtown.
I think maybe we need then to meet in our next meeting, after we've had a chance to sit down with city staff and go item by item with their concerns, because this is a precedent setting issue. And we don't want to get roped into people saying, but you did it the last time. So if my other commissioners in agreement, let's put this off until next meeting when we have more opportunity to discuss and look this over specifically with city staff.
I think the problem with that is we can't hold them up going to planning commission.
Oh.
That's the thing. We're looking for a recommendation that the longer we wait, the longer it takes to get to planning commission, and they do have the right to at least get the planning commission for review and approval for that. So I don't mind going over each item now and kind of getting your sense of it and your feedback, and then that's what we package as part of the recommendation or comments by the Historic District Commission.
All right, if that's where you'd like to go, let's do it. I'm gonna let you drive this, Mark. You'll be writing this up. Right, one of the two of you.
Again, I think let's start with whether the Historic District Commission is comfortable with the street view and west view elevations, brick elevations. The applicant provided dormers, provided additional treatments for the windows and with the shutters. The only outstanding elements for this that we were looking for, and I understand what's being saying, but adding some general elements to the doors themselves. I don't think you're trying to remake what was there, but you can certainly take elements to make a little bit nicer door features. Whether that's an element that the Historic District Commission has any comments on. And also, what staff was looking at for the base of the building, I'm guessing it's just concrete. Whether it should be concrete or that should be another material, or if you're comfortable with the concrete view, maybe it could be a colored concrete, I don't know, something so it's not so obvious, because you want a base of a building. And this is creating the concrete base of the brick on top. Is there something that you would prefer for that? So that's.
I would say a standard recommendation on the elevations would be that the concrete has some sort of stone look to it. I don't know if it's a stone relief or even just a stone staining and relief, or a lick and stick sort of option, but so that it had a look of stone, because a sheer concrete base makes it look like a bank. You know, that just doesn't have a good look. Honestly, I'm not upset about the plain and simple doors. I really think these plain and simple doors are characteristic of this time period. And the embellishing that I see, to me, that matches the original building is the cornicing, the corbelling. I'm sorry, the corbelling.
Well, and actually, I had called it a brick corbel before, but it's really not. It's really a wood trim cornice.
Oh, the wood trim cornice, okay.
Yes.
I believed you when you said it was corbelling, because that's actually very rare, and that building had it. That was actually an original attribute. And is it possible to reestablish the corbel?
With this, with the thin brick system, it would be hard to do.
With a real brick system?
With real brick, it would be possible to do that. And I carried the cornice around on the west side.
Mm-hmm. And that site had that. That is an actual attribute that site had.
Or the west.
I thought it did.
No,
You can't have brick come out and then you
Yeah,
have to go back in, or.
it was on the, I believe it was in one of the inner buildings that wasn't one of, I don't know, I'd have to look again. I just remember seeing, because I have corbelling on mine.
Can you set up this?
Okay, so no, it's a system actually of bricks levering out over the building. And it's
okay.
only one or two courses,
Okay,
but
I know what
it
you're
is
talking
unusual. It makes the building look like it's ballooning a little bit.
Okay.
Chris, I really don't think there was any on that space of the building.
I think it was all wood.
It was covered, yeah. It was definitely covered, but let's proceed.
Photos
Do
handy.
we have the original package here somewhere?
There are two
Here's
on the
the
desk
packet.
in front,
It looks
printed out, and you can look in them.
Yeah, cause I can't remember what the fuck either.
These,
These are
Here-
all just.
Here's some right here, Dean. Right up here. Here's just what's left, I think.
Oh, I see what you mean.
That would be- that's-
Yeah, yeah, that's what you.
Yeah, now, remember, originally, this building had a massive roof.
That's true, you didn't have an answer.
But that was added, right?
Look at- Yeah,
Well,
That'd be added
that whole
later.
part of the building was added later. You know, that wasn't a part of the original log structure. The brick part was added later. See, okay, so that's that side of the building, right?
yes,
Um.
so I couldn't control that.
That's what I didn't.
It was gone by the time it was.
No,
Yeah, I mean, I don't remember them there, you know, I saw them on your building, but where? An interior common maybe? Hate having these things gone. What's this?
Well, there might have been, yes, okay, so that was the rear,
Oh, no, it's.
that was.
That was the rear?
That was
Oh,
the
yeah, that was-
rear.
Guys, this is what Corbell,
Addition was in front of that.
see that?
Oh.
That is super unusual.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
So that was all covered.
That is super unusual and it's actually worth architecturally noting with houses in our historic district. That would mean, to me, would be something really cool,
Yeah,
because the building had it. It's not like you're making this up as embellishment, this is just a wonderful thing. It would be something good to add. All right, so what page is this?
And there was
View 23.
similar corbelling on the front of the building.
Yeah, I thought
It
so.
was, but I don't remember ever seeing it on the side. I think it may have been on the front and the back, because that, you know, that would have been kind of extended support for the rafters, the original
On
rafters.
this side of the wall. So it comes from there.
No, it wasn't there. It was over on this side.
So to me, I would prefer that if there were to be any kind of embellishing, it would be what was there, even if it was on the back, then put on the side, because it's feels more authentic to building than coming up with the wood trim, you know, that's my thought. Anyways. Just didn't see it where I thought I saw it. I think we have this.
yeah.
All right, so did you follow all that, you guys? Image 23 was the one where we had what would have been embellishment on the building. It was to the rear, wasn't in the front, but it was,
That was covered up.
and it was then eventually covered up with additions.
I think for this, we're still looking for what does the Historic District Commission want to see? This is your recommendation. Do you want to see the corbelling? Do you not want to see it? Do you want it brick? Do you want it?
I think if we were to go into an ideal situation of recommendations, we would recommend brick and we would recommend corbelling.
Okay,
Because of image 23 showing that building actually had that.
and it's one on the side. I think having anything on the side kind of helps break up that mass.
Sure, and on the front as well,
I think looks nice.
front and on the side.
Okay.
How about other commissioners? Have you got any thoughts about Street View and West View? From what we would recommend.
So this structure would have been built on stone, is that what you're saying? Then it should at least look like it, if it's not.
And then lastly,
We could, yeah, we could. Face the foundation with brick
all the way to the
all
ground.
the way down.
I mean, it almost has to be if we use real brick.
You're right,
Right.
right. So if it were real brick, it could go all the way to the ground. The last thing I'll say about the windows, they should be divided 2/2s. That's really what's more
I don't
common.
think the original windows were divided. I mean, they certainly weren't, you know.
Well, who knows what those windows were? So these are all 2/2s. 2/2.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's what it's called.
2/2.
But-
Yeah.
Let's see.
Picture on the interior.
There.
Whatever we're gonna do. Yeah. In the back. This is a brand new window. That's the 1/1. It looks like it's a 2/2 to the left.
Those are the 6.
Oh, we don't, panels?
Panels.
Big panels, or I thought there was none.
No, they're looking at multiples, build dividers.
Yeah. What window is this? West rear, southwest. Central hall. Is he not divided?
What is new building? There was space there for one, I just pushed it over.
There are some that were decided.
Those, okay. Those are replacements. I think you could go with 2/2s throughout and look consistent and still have that divided window look. It doesn't look modern. I mean, I just, the windows I keep popping, even though they're towards the back, are those 2/2. Does that make sense?
Oh, you found one
1970,
at the car.
There we go.
they're all window.
My,
Oh, yeah, look at,
no,
but
my understanding was those 2/2 windows are from the Victorian era.
Mm.
okay, so that is pretty, the original. Except for the doors.
So, and this picture was, you know, I think those were all replacements.
And
And I think the 2/2s were replacements as well. You know, over the years. Who knows what windows were in? They might well have been 6/6 because of the limitations of the size of glass.
it's so hard. It was so hard to make. They didn't have plated glass decks. All right. Did you guys catch any of this discussion? We really are working here, aren't we? We are working. How about the roofing material? The roofing material is just asphalt,
Just expulsion.
plain old asphalt. Ideally, we would be asking for,
That's what was on the roof. Yes.
Yes, it was that.
wasn't, yeah.
This was added.
Yeah.
Us, like, the probably, yeah.
Yeah, yes, so. But it probably had standing seam at one time,
They probably had wood shot.
probably had wood chip at one time. So I think, how do we feel about the asphalt?
I don't know. That's your,
I think since we don't really know, we would go with asphalt as a durable product. I think we would agree to.
This architectural shingle asphalt versus your just typical type of asphalt.
What's the difference between architectural shingle?
Adds a little bit more relief and it's thicker and it's a little bit more durable versus just standard asphalt shingles.
Asphalt roof shingles.
But it's also, you know, a more contemporary appearance too.
You talk like asphalt roof shingles, is that what you're?
Yes.
There's three to have in our, there's three to have I know of in architecture.
Yeah, I think what Mark is talking about is the overlay shingles.
The asphalt shingles, they just add some relief to it, yeah, so it looks more, you know, like a shingle, yeah.
All right,
But my biggest thing for staff standpoint was the massing of the roof, I think Dean did a good job with the dormers, I think
Yes.
that was the thing that, when you looked at it, that really jumped out at me, that asphalt shingles wasn't, for a staff standpoint, wasn't a concern, it was really the
I'll say the dormers made a huge difference.
okay, yeah.
Shutters. And the shutters. Can we talk about as a desired precedent setting thing? Is there a shutter standard we can request or a shutter quality we can request so that it doesn't?
This is your recommendation, to the Historic District Commission.
I would think the shutters better, but I just don't want them to look like they're from Kmart. You know, there's some really cruddy shutters out there that look, is there, am I looking for the right term here?
There are companies that make very nice and very expensive shutters that you can get. There are companies that make, you know, shutters that are operable. But
That makes me excited.
nobody,
Well, operating shutters are not required. I mean, that's.
What if you get like, not overstock, but, what are those? Those warehouses that have,
recycling.
yeah,
That
there's the
yeah,
the problem is finding them that fit the
Fit, right.
windows. There's nothing worse than looking at a
no,
window
you're right.
that has the wrong size shutters. Too long, too wide, too short.
It was just a thought.
and that goes with the whole point of tricking people into thinking it's a store. Like that's actually, that steps over the line of taking. You can do that inside, you can recycle, do whatever you want inside, but the outside shouldn't look. Oh, those. All right. How about let's take the east side, which has the simpler side. Are there design requests we would have on the east side?
Staff is still saying, staff was to recommend that you wrap the entire building with brick and not have any vinyl, other than potentially the dormers.
And Mark, it's really not fake brick, it's real brick, but it's much thinner than, you know, the standard full depth brick. It's you know, an inch thick instead of 4 inches. So it is real brick.
But you can't do the core belling on this side. With that kind of option.
That would require more support than that brick would provide.
Well, I think for the next building, we would want the precedent set of asking for real brick. And for the core belling to just break up this facade again. I think that's what we would ask for, we would recommend. Do I hear agreement from my?
Yeah,
Build with this.
And then in the back, again, I can almost hear what Mark's gonna say. Wrap it in brick.
Wrap it in brick and also continue the treatment. So that's and you know, that was a little confusing for me. So just, I'm sorry, go back to the street view. The center door doesn't provide a way to get up to the second story.
No,
So the only way you get to the second story is to the rear.
that's correct.
Okay, and that's the two in these two doors.
I think you have the wrong.
Yes, because the stairways are side by side. with the party wall between them.
Okay, but yeah, so I have my own staircase to go, so it's not one going up and I split off the two, my
No.
own staircase going up, okay.
So that's why there's 4 doors on the first floor in the rear. And on the front, the middle door just provides access to the sprinkler closet.
Okay. That's it. I thought that front middle one was a primary staircase also, or something like that, but it's not, okay.
We're full of people.
But yeah, but still, I mean, it helps out the front facade look, but
Well, it kind of matches the historic ones.
but again, and this just goes through experience with even new development, new residential development. In jurisdictions I worked at, it's always been your wrap material, especially when it's high visibility from public way. This is
Main Street.
Main Street, and then you have an alleyway with clear direction, clear vision, and that goes to kind of my question is that. Shouldn't the people that live on the second floor be afforded the same nice entrance into that building as the people afforded the front door? The front on Main Street side, but it's always been rock, if you have brick, you wrap brick. If you want to add siding, it's added in, you know, the second floor maybe, or it's a little bit different as for design purposes. But again, staff is still gonna recommend you wrap the brick.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I think 4 doors in the front would be cluttery.
Yeah, I'm just thinking that too.
And my question is, can they move that door,
I'm not asking to move any doors at all. It was just more, I'm sorry, it was more just trying to understand. Cause that's what was confusing to me, that with that door, how you got up to the second floor.
Wait, how you have a.
Yeah, that's
Three doors
that's
before
all, I'm
doors.
sorry, I wasn't asking to move any doors, if that's, but if that's you guys, but I was just really trying to understand. The functions of the doors, cause it threw me, the middle door didn't provide access to the second floor.
That's your phone.
And that's really why having the floor plans would have helped.
Yeah.
You could have seen, oh,
So
it's just a closet.
Dean, what kind of guttering is this?
What kind of guttering?
Is it half moon or is it
Half round?
half round or half? Or
No.
the K style?
No, it's the OG style.
So I would recommend the half moon. Or half.
Half
So
round. Well, again.
nothing screams modern like that new guttering. That's boxy stuff.
Well, and okay,
That's really boxy stuff. I mean, it makes all the efforts you put into the spindling on the porch, you know, kind of worked out by that. The spindling on the porch, I would argue, is Victorian too, by the way, but
yes.
I don't mind it. It does add something, some sparkle to it, otherwise. very
What about
bad.
just straight post instead of the spindly thing? That would be more.
I would hate for them to end up with an unlimited let's go with this spindle. I think. At least that way the materials look better than what could be bought with a straight up modern square posts.
Yeah, there's all different types throughout downtown. You have this square, a little bit more there, it must be 6 by 6. It's a very, very large, and then you have circular ones and then spindle ones. So there's a whole combination, both on Main Street and in the rear of the building. So I didn't make any comment because it does reflect what you do see downtown.
at least I wasn't showing, you know, Tuscan columns or something.
Oh, yeah, balustrades or something, yeah. So have we are we in agreement on staff and commission recommendations? Do we have any more that we missed?
Not that I'm aware of. I think that, again, I think Dean addressed a lot of the comments, the window treatments and door treatments. I think I got a response for that. So I think we're good. Let's see if some other elements or something else that I'm missing.
I think we have a response, and I so appreciate you guys putting up with us, because this is precedent setting for us. And I appreciate you, Dean, putting in so much extra work and addressing all this stuff at the last possible second. I really appreciate it. I think if we can have staff write up their comments, we would support staff's comments. And you don't have to wait. If that's a motion I hear from the table.
I make a motion that we accept the changes from the discussion that the staff's going to write up. And I mean, I
Thank you for the motion. Is there a second? A second. Any further discussion? Staff understands where we're going together?
Yes, what I can do is I can put together what I believe the discussion was and some of the comments made, provide it to the Historic District Commission for review and comment. When I do that, please just respond directly to me, not to each other. In any response, if you believe I've captured it, or if I haven't, if there's something I'm missing, I will just amend it and send it out to everybody again. For review and comment, and then once it's agreed upon, that's the letter format I'll be providing, other information I'll provide to the planning commission.
And the planning commission meets next week, is that correct?
It won't be, not for this development, this project. The only thing we have planning commission is an ordinance that's going before them. We'd be looking at the December planning commission meeting. Third. It might be
December 21st.
December 21st.
Is it likely that that would be canceled? Pushed to January? Like, is that?
Not that, I don't,
I'm gonna be here on the 21st, I think,
It's not a great time of year to be
Well-
scheduling meetings anyways.
we could,
time.
they meet the third Thursday of every month, so we can bump it to 3rd January. We still haven't got comments back to you. They're not gonna be game changers, any of our comments, but we're working on finalizing the comments back to you for submission.
I
Let's
think
take a vote.
stormwater management still needs to be finalized.
That's the other thing too, we won't take it before, I'm sorry, we're talking.
Let's
outside
take a
of this.
vote and then we'll take a quick recess for our guests to talk with city staff about their next steps. At least we're not holding. So all in favor? Aye. Aye. By consensus. And thank you. And I'm now wrapped in recess listening to the process from here on.
So, we still haven't gotten comments back to you for the first submission to correct any issues we have or concerns we have with from a zoning ordinance standpoint. So we'll get you those comments back, and we still don't take you to the planning commission until we have concept approval for both forest conservation and stormwater management. Those are the two really only groups that I need from the county to respond, even though they send it out to 16 entities. I just need the two.
And forest conservation, that
Most likely
happens
to
when
be
there's
exempt.
more than 40,000
Yeah.
square feet.
We just wait for a letter from them. They'll provide a letter saying you're exempt in some fashion. So they'll get, I guess it'll be, I haven't got anything back from them. Not that I've seen. And then the minimum concept approval for stormwater management before we'll take you to planning commission. But if we're still looking January timeframe, we'll comments out to you. And again, I don't think there's anything that I could recall from a site plan standard that is a showstopper type of thing.
Yeah, I think
I just gotta sign it.
you gotta sign it for the stormwater.
Right.
The only, you just have, I'm sorry, just have an access sidewalk going onto adjacent property. We're gonna comment on that, unless you have an easement for that property, it has to be on yours. That's, we'll talk that, you'll get one of those. That's the only thing I saw that I can recall that I would be any, yeah. Thank you.
Absolutely, it's all educational, even though it's not historic district commission work, I'm sure it's good for the public to hear, so. If there's anything else, I'm surprised we got here, I actually thought we were gonna have to wait a month, so I'm glad that we can advance you. And if you need any help or anything, Dean has my home number. Melissa can get a hold of me, but we're happy to be helpful, you know, if there's anything. Tell you what I got in my half circle gutters, not that far.
Oh, that, yeah, that,
They're available.
they're available, yeah.
And I believe these tax credits are available for new build.
That's right, there's still tax credits then.
Yeah.
5%. And at this point, you'd be showing.
Now, would that be for the entire project or just for the exterior?
I think the tax credits for the entire project.
The entire
You're limited to how much you can get, you know, it's.
Depends on how many
Number of
taxes you
years,
pay,
yeah.
but you're Main Street, you're paying more taxes than
Plus the
anybody else.
state then can apply for the state.
Well,
Not have new construction.
That was,
You're
yeah.
unique.
you know,
It's simply the city's tax.
I think it's 5% of the cost.
5%, and then it can carry over for up to 5
Up
years.
to 5 years, yeah, so you
Yeah,
get
that'd be
5
worth your
years of
time to talk
tax, tax free.
It's one page and you've already done so much.
Exactly, you're gonna be provided, they've already accepted or kind of gave you guidance as to what to do, so yeah, so it's.
The
That's
biggest
easy.
thing is getting 2 quotes for the work. That's really the biggest, I mean, once you figure out if it's eligible work or not, 2 quotes for the work. Something
You're
to
gonna
keep
be
in
your
mind.
own contractor.
So if you find 2 different
That's what
products,
we're not for the printer.
apples to apples,
Okay.
2 quotes, well, even if the sweat equity you put in, we can't give you 5% for you to pay yourself, that's not eligible, but even if they got subs, 5% of that. I mean, I acted as my own general contractor for some of my projects that I've submitted. So,
and the process for that is coming back here and just checking off the list that everything you are requesting is eligible product, so. Brick with brick,
So do I go to the city to get that paper?
it's online, thing.
I can send it to you online, we'll send it to
It's just not. All right, thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dave.
And we're gonna go back to a meeting.
Change the agenda.
This is real work. We're next doing minutes.
Well, you'll be safe.
All right, so let's look at the minutes of October 4th. Are we ready to approve them? You were submitted. We have a minute, October 4th.
Okay,
That's fine.
Trying to be cognizant of everybody's time. It's a good meeting. We'll remember tonight.
No, yes, you were.
Wasn't
Yeah, because you couldn't. Yeah,
it? Yeah, I guess. Do we have a motion to accept the minute?
I make a motion to accept the minutes from the meeting which was held on October 4th, 2023.
We have a second.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Okay. Old business. So Melissa, I'm dying to know, did we get our grant? We were supposed to know November 1.
I should have sent you a message, but I have reached out and they said they're hoping to send out letters next week.
Oh.
So we are still waiting on pins and needle to find out.
Melissa, I have a box of books. I'm going through stuff now, pulling stuff for that.
Good.
I almost don't care if we get a grant. We're doing this work. If I have to get up to city council and just beg them and plead with them and say, I'm so ready, I've already done in 5 years, let's do it.
Keep the steam engine rolling, I'd say, you know.
Everybody I talked to, by the way, because I modeled it after our successful grant with the cemetery. My mindset has got that same, I almost want to ask that company, but they do funerals, they don't do downtowns. But at any rate, If we get these two working together, the two databases, we would be the very best documented little historic town I know of. If we literally can walk around with your phone and say, that's an interesting building, what's,
Like a
what happened
QR
here?"
code?
Yeah,
Oh,
well, it's not QR code, it's geo,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
geolocated.
Yeah.
You don't even need a QR code, you just wander around. You got 5 minutes, you're standing in front of an old building, what's that?
Well,
Oh,
we'll have it on a map, working with GIS staff,
It won't even
make it
be there.
a beautiful map.
Geolocation allows you within 3 feet, it just knows. You don't have to look it up.
We'll talk about that. Okay.
Well, I can do it with my grave, we can do it with both buildings for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
That could be phase two,
That
but
sounds
again,
great.
we are trying to create a downtown map.
Oh.
For both businesses that you can click and say, I want to see restaurants downtown, personal services.
Sort for.
And with that as well, there'll be a layer for historic district properties, you can click on it and get the current information, whatever new information we have. The old pictures, newer pictures, so anything that comes out of this will have that ability to.
That's an independent project that's happening,
Yes,
or is that?
It's an internal project.
it says internal project, so anything we get from, if we have a base mapping system. We could certainly build that in the RFP that they could then build upon that, it's all GIS has reconnected that,
Very cool. I can't. And then if things work out the way I hope they do with the cemetery. Cemetery people can shoot people downtown, because it is a tourism and heritage education grant. You can shoot people to downtown where they live, and downtown could shoot people up to the cemetery where they live.
I feel like you need to be a little more clear, what you mean by shooting people. They'll be
At the cemetery, yeah.
traveling downtown, they'll be traveling up to the cemetery. Fully alive.
They'll be touring.
They'll be touring.
I need you as my PR person. I need you as my PR person. Well, that was great. Other than that, let's move on to the 250th. Because I can think of nothing else other than I can't wait for Melissa to tell us we won our grant, because I know we will. Power of positive thinking. Okay, 250th anniversary. We had a really good luncheon meeting, and you guys were not able to attend. Were you?
were the virtual meeting?
Yeah, were you up there at the 24th? Were you there for lunch? Yeah, you talked about your class.
Yes, because I was working my other job at the same time.
Yes. Yes, so I think we're doing pretty well as far as keeping it on our radar. There's another webinar, and I have a handout which I forgot to bring. So I'll bring it. Yes, it's a little postcard thing. It tells you how to get a hold of the state guys, so we can start watching them, independently. You can be looking up on the website and stuff. It won't be long till the Heart of the Civil Heritage area people will be organizing another one of our get-togethers, because our last one was in June, and they're trying to do them every 6 months. It probably will be a virtual event, but if not, it's always a fun event when it's live. So we'll be keeping our eyes peeled for that. Other than that, do you have any reports either of you?
Melissa and I met before the meeting to discuss some more things on our agenda for the 250th, so for the downtown, so.
Oh, the last thing I have to, I'm sorry, did you have anything? Nope. So I did send Melissa a little historical snippet of 5 towns that came together to be Westminster. And she's got the actual descriptions of which pieces of road were in the earliest 2 towns. I would stretch that 250th thought process to include later historic areas. But I think that, to me, it gives us a real concrete picture of what streets were old and to what extent they were there during the 250th. And I thought it would be just good to get Mark started in thinking about stuff with Department of Public Works. Not that I want to change the names of the streets. that would be way over the top. But maybe like a sub sign that said Old King Street, or 250 years ago, this was called King Street, something small that wouldn't confuse people who are, you know, Amazon people are really looking to get tomatoes. You know, they already have a hard movement. But something discreet, maybe in that uppy brown that most historic sites use. You know, something that says historic.
We were contemplating just the street names are today being brown. To tell you that it's a historic, you're in a historic downtown.
Maybe entry signs or something that's like,
But entry sign.
that are the same
We
brown.
definitely do entry signs, what do we wanna say on it? It's always, that's the discussion we have to have. We got money, or
We can find money.
we got a grant, we got some grant money for it.
You already got grant money.
We do. So this will be through the Department of Housing and Community Development. That's right. Main Street Improvement Fund is where this comes from. And the way we applied was actually 6 signs. So what we have to do now is actually look at a map and maybe map it out and design where that would be.
So those are entrance feature signs, the other signs, the street signs, that's just work with Public Works or
Yeah.
maybe in their budget at some point. So, yeah, so just need to know what we wanna say on the sign as you're entering into this historic district.
All right, do you need our input?
Absolutely.
All
It
right,
could be as basic as entering City of Westminster Historic District or.
I
looking at
think basic is best, you know, something that just says entering historic Westminster. This area 250, celebrating 250 years, you know, this portion celebrate, because the whole district is not 250 years old, but at least this specialized portion.
The 6 we got was to enter into the historic district that is defined today.
Okay,
It wasn't for the 250th, remember, before we started talking about 250th, we started talking about entrance signs into the historic district,
Right.
6, and we picked 6 potential locations on Main Street, on 27, and get what the other 2 were. That we wanted some type of signage to let people know you're entering the City of Westminster Historic District, so that's what that funding was for, the historic district signage,
all right, well, then they can be super simple.
so yeah.
And just a thought, do you think, thinking of the legacy projects too, like if we were to take the existing street sign and make it more obvious of the original footprint of Westminster, changing that we wouldn't mention 250th, we would just simply change it, so that sort of becomes the legacy. That'll always be known as the original Westminster section.
Mhm.
But if we wanted to do something, if it was something that Streets and Roads could do and the post office would allow, you know, to add that extra sign on the bottom that says original 250. I think that's a good idea, but thinking of like the legacy projects, actually changing them and then leaving them.
Absolutely.
Cause once you do it.
One, you know, when it becomes 250th, leaving those 2. You know, it's like any other bicentennial thing you see, just leave them. You don't have to rip them down.
Westminster, formerly Winchester, you could even. Really throw everybody for a loop, right?
Right.
Let's not do that to anybody, that's why they changed it. It's because people are already gonna, you know, I've been reading up on that, it's not just that there was a Winchester, Virginia. It's we were Frederick County, Winchester, Frederick County, and there was a Winchester, Frederick County in Virginia. So it wasn't just the name, it was also the county name. That's why we had to change. Interesting. Because it was a double plan. I always thought, well, the whole state, why can't they have figured?
I know.
But no, it was like people use the county designation because the towns are so small.
Makes sense.
I know. All right, anything else on the 250? Well, let's get together and see that. Oh, you already have it?
We'll just pass this around. This I actually picked up in Boston at the Main Street Conference. It was a vendor, the Foundries Company and Erie Landmark Company. It looks like they really do plaques and this sort of thing. So I'll pass it around and you
These
guys.
guys are the real deal, they had
Okay.
to build McCoy plaques.
So just something that I found, I thought be,
If you look around, these are the guys who
Did you
do
take
most of
two
them.
copies or just one?
just one, I will learn.
One for next.
But if you'd like to have it, I might just take a picture of the front and then.
Why don't you scan it and send it to me
That sounds like
tomorrow?
better, yeah.
No, scan it and send it to me, I don't need the color copy.
This is where I got mine. My house.
Yeah, this
one.
is, yeah.
Oh, okay, great, yeah.
I think that's what's. Yeah.
I like that a lot.
Something really classic, I think I would have it.
My house, one day, sorry.
Alrighty, well, while we're looking at that, we've already completed item B then of the 250th. Are we ready to move on?
Sorry.
No, you can keep looking, but I do want to keep working here.
I'm done.
Alright. So we've done item A, I believe there's nothing more to complete with that, and we're going to go to item B. We're gonna talk a little bit about recruiting a new commission member. I've done some looking around for new commission members, I have one person in mind. But I need to continue developing that, they haven't actually said yes, they just said they thought, I'll think about it. So before I submit their name for consideration, I wanna make sure they agree. They live in the city but not in the historic district, and I always prefer people in the district, you know, who have a little skin in the game, who own a historic structure. That would be the most ideal, somebody who understands what it takes to keep these old structures going. Is there any input from staff on that?
We have a newsletter and I believe it is this month that we will be having just a general call for volunteers on commissions. I might take a second look at that and see what else can be mentioned. Possibly we can add historic district commission, but I think there are others too that maybe. But we don't have that many commissions, so maybe just taking a second look and expanding upon what's available, might be something we can do.
If we're not already doing it, we should be listing openings we have, because
Right.
BZA has an opening, HTC, if you're interested, planning, yeah, we should be doing that anyway.
Okay, good.
One other thought, we're part of the grant, we're hoping to do a direct mailing piece to
Mhm.
everybody in this district.
Right.
Could be something to add.
Definitely.
Hopefully there would be another commission member at that point, but for the future, it's always good to run.
I can also think of one former commission member who's really good, but dropped out for family reasons. And maybe I'll talk off the table with you, see if we should consider approaching that person. She's also a former city employee, so she sort of understands how things work. In the way back days.
Way back days.
Way back. Alrighty, any other discussions about considering new commission members? Hearing none, then we're gonna go around the table and talk about things that might be helpful to the Historic District Commission. I'll just start with saying I'm having such a great time with the cemetery grants. I just can see so much overlap between downtown and doing this. It's so exciting. You know, it's funny, it might be an important public piece we should be thinking about right now that I didn't think about so well with the cemetery grant. And crafting for the cemetery a PowerPoint talk where I just on demand, I will go and talk to any civic group or any church group who wants to hear more about that grant. And I think we should prep that for this, where we would have a canned talk that the city approved that we could go and present to anybody who asks us to. I know when I mentioned that at the Celebrate America meeting, they were just like, I will book you right now for the library. And I said, I don't have the grant yet for this. I need to book you right now for the cemetery. And I said, I don't have the presentation yet, but book me because I will by the time you tell me I have to talk.
What's the grant money for? Like, what's it going to do for
It's
this?
all digitizing, it's putting the records onto a platform where people can walk through the cemetery and say, I'd like to see where all the veterans are, click on their phone, on a phone. or on the website, which we don't have a website. You can click that, they can look up their own families, and eventually, as people participate, they can send in their own family history, links, photographs, obits. There'll be a portal designed in where people can send their own family info. So if you've already done a lot of genealogy on your family and there's a book somewhere down at the DAR in their library, you can put a link. There's a lot of family histories that are already in digital format, but people don't know about them. So it can be listed in that portal. And people will be able to buy cemetery lots from Texas. They wanna buy a lot up here, that'd be fine. It can all be done online. So we're gonna have a lot of our cemetery operations turned over to online, but our genealogy, our history, there's already 2 tours of the cemetery. People don't know this because it's only in a book that gets sold at the Historical Society. You'll be able to step into the cemetery and see a tour. That's been there for years, designed since 2017. This is tourism and heritage education, so these are adding things to the city. And we're doing lots and lots of data gathering. I'm having people stepping up and saying, I'll do the World War II vets and I'll look up their service history and I'll get that in. I've got people saying I'll do Corbett's Charge. I'll add that history in because the cemetery was used for hospital station, not just for Corbett's Charge, but I'm reading also after Gettysburg. People were brought into every municipal building, including that cemetery meeting house as part of the hospital.
So there's unmarked graves in there too, would you say?
But not probably from the Civil War, those are all marked.
Okay, so the money's for the, like a database or the platform?
It's all for a digital database, platform, data entry. And then we have a number of data sets that just need to be knit together so that the public for free can just look it up. And eventually they can contribute.
There's a lot of interesting history in graveyards.
And
Well, that's one thing, I was stopped outside of I was walking.
Yeah, and then you can, it's interesting, you say, oh, I wonder who's that, because where I come from, we have some very old cemeteries. And there's nothing as far as I know like that, and I think that would be amazing.
yeah, that's amazing. Part of it's because I saw one of their demos, they said, we have a few important people like Mark Twain in one of the cemeteries they work in. And they listed Mark Twain's bio, and I said, could you do that for everybody? Yeah, but I said, families want that. If they know that, they want that. But well, if you give us the data, we can do anything. People will give us the data. People will give us their grandma's photos, and their pictures with their pooches and their, bikes in the front porch. People will do that. If they thought they could, they would. And they're like, well, this is a great idea. And I said, yeah, it's tourism. So let's get some people up here who
That tourism.
Every funeral's got 20 to 100 people. People discount that, but they're all dragging their tails right on in the gates. Every one of them. That's tourism. It's just something we haven't looked at like that before.
No.
And it's a passive landscape, open for people to come visit.
So concession stands, maybe a little. Get a hot dog.
Dead people rock.
The last century used to picnic with your, used to go and picnic with your dead relatives.
Last Nevin Cemetery in Dublin, which is a huge cemetery, they have a really nice coffee shop and gift store there.
Just that's another one.
That's crazy.
Well, we're thinking passive visitation. We're not thinking anything active, but it just gives us a chance to be more relevant. Part of the community rather than that corner that everybody knows. So that's one good thing. I'm stepping down and officially next week from the Heart of the School Heritage Area presidency. I will just be board member. Did my big ceremony on November 1st. You guys attended. I hope you had a good time.
That was very nice.
That was great. So I'm stepping aside from that, so I have more time to put into this winter, which should be good. I had some other thought, something I was doing. Oh, Celebrate America, I told them that we had upped our gifts to $250 for junior and $250 for senior first place, $250 for junior second place, and $250 for senior second place, and that's $1,000 total from our budget, and that's a third of our budget, so we are very committed to National History Day. They are now asking if we wanna do a table again. Remember last time? Do you wanna do it with me?
What date? When is it again?
I'll have to look it up.
Okay,
Yeah, it's in February or March, I can't remember.
yeah,
It's a Saturday.
As long as it's at the end of February, I can.
Well, let's put it this way, I'll put into the table.
Mhm.
And if it's just Grace and I, and Josh came last time too. It was really fun. I might dress up or something. Why not? You know? And you guys provided lots of swag. Do you remember this?
Yeah, we're running low on swag, we'll have to look into another order.
Or more.
We have 3 very nice printed walking tour brochures. So last year, I think I had tried my very best to recreate, and we finally found the originals, and I had showed up at a previous meeting, so now we have all 3 of the brochures that were created, I think, for Westminster's 250th.
Right.
In 2014, so we'll have, I'll make sure to set aside copies for the table.
Well, let me tell you that the tours, the east side ones all went, they were gone. And so people really love those tours. So anyway, I'm looking for people to come sit with me at that table. It'll be great fun again.
the one of the, was it the, Historic Society, they were doing the, underwear that people used to wear, and they had the young girls trying on this, and that was really popular.
Undergarments, yeah.
Undergarments, that was really popular, I remember, it's,
So we have that, and I have to admit, last time when I did the tax credit talks, I presented tax credits and I had 15 or 20 minutes, which isn't much time. It was in a very awkward space. It was in the library. They were having team meetings at the other end, and it was the only place where people could sit around and yak. And I felt like I had a roar to talk over. There was no mic or anything. And the lights couldn't be dimmed, so it was really hard to see the visuals. And I ended up presenting to like 3 paying attention people. There might have been 10 people in the vicinity, and there was 50 people in the rest of the room. I'm not feeling that that's a really good use of presentation. Unless they can promise me something different. As in previous years, we had rooms where you can darken the lights, you would actually sit there through the presentation. So I guess we'll wait and see. But I'll get you guys the dates, and I'll be looking for people. The last thing I wanted to bring up tonight, for the good of the group, is that, you know, historically, we don't meet in December. I was wondering how we felt about that, unless we have a tax credit or something that we need to review.
I don't think we have anything coming up. We canceled DBA for December, Downtown Business Association, to give everybody a holiday break.
Today is the Wednesday.
yeah, because we have, I don't think this is part of it.
It's the 6th.
It's just, I think last year we had some actual business, but
I mean, I
it's
could.
normal
on that day.
that, it's normal that we just don't have a December meeting. It's the one time during the year we kind of just skip it. So how do you guys feel?
I could, I mean, if it's the 6th, I don't have anything on my calendar for that day, so it's actually. So it doesn't, I could go either way, so I don't care.
I'm the same either way.
Well, let's just count it as a skip day unless we have something we've pulled together for the 250th. There's some reason to meet, you know, special topic or something. But let's just,
Okay, yeah, we'll update the website.
and let us know.
We'll hold off on that, but again, we'll make sure there's nothing coming up, or when I get the comments out for the discussion we had today, so. We have plenty of time to cancel it, but we're leaning towards cancellation unless we need to meet, so if something pops up in the next week or so, if not, then we'll cancel.
I mean, I would never want the people's business to be held up because of that.
Yeah.
If there's something legit that has to come before us,
Yeah,
of course we'll be, but if we're meeting just sort of to touch base on some of these ongoing topics, if we get the grant and we absolutely have to meet to sign it or something.
Right.
We can. All right. That's it for me. How about you, Miss Grace?
I have nothing, thank you.
I was just gonna talk about the part of the Civil War Heritage Area speaker.
Yeah.
And Clint Smith, I was very impressed, bought his book,
Thank you.
yeah, I might have my kid read it, and he's already reading it, so, yes.
He was good, and I kept thinking, he had such a simple name, Clint Smith. Thinking, I can't figure where I've seen him before. He's been on Colbert,
Yeah, oh
his
yeah,
last book.
my kids checked him out, when I sent them a picture, Colbert and a couple others, it's like, wow, this guy's big, and I said, yeah. So, no, a great speaker, the story was great, the book, the way he explained the book, it's gonna be an interesting read, so.
Don't you feel like you could just listen to him for another hour?
Yes, yeah, I was hoping you filmed it, that would have been great to.
No,
Put up
it's
on the
publicist
web
wouldn't
and-
let me take a picture with him in the green room.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we had a professional photographer, those are the only pictures that been allowed. That's part of his contract. And I don't know if you noticed the other thing, I'll probably tell him tales out of. You need to be very careful. That's why Sean had to go up on stage.
I saw,
If
yeah.
it goes into overtime, there's a contract for that.
My goodness, isn't that just
He
amazing?
charged us a third of what he normally charged.
That was nice.
So we had to be especially considerate of his agreement, because we did not want to step on his toes when he'd already been so generous.
Yeah, that was very interesting and enlightening.
And wasn't Chris Haley?
I
able
learned
to-
something, yes.
Chris Haley, usually you don't think of moderators as being so highly accomplished as well.
Yes, exactly. Good questions, good discussion between the two,
Oh, yeah, it was a high level conversation.
yes.
Good.
No,
Yeah.
Anything else, Mr. Durant?
no, that was it, I was very impressed by that.
They have good stuff coming too.
Yeah.
Okay, Miss Melissa.
Wal's gonna share the Main Street Improvement Grant funds that were awarded, so that's good. And we are, something fun on Main Street, we have the Shop Small Passport program going on right now. In our retail shops and restaurants and some of the service businesses, you can go in and grab your passport, and there's 225 businesses in Carroll County that are on the passport, and you just go in and make 8 purchases. You can return it to the library and be entered into our raffle. We're pulling $20, $50 gift vouchers. You can use it at any one of those locations, so we encourage you all and the public to go out and shop small. Throughout the whole holiday, all the year, truthfully, but this is a fun kind of promotion that we've been running. Absolutely, absolutely.
It's easy, right?
There's restaurants, personal service.
Yeah.
Retail shops, the 69 of that 250, whatever.
225, yeah.
Are in
All right,
the
all right, so
West-
they're-
in Westminster,
Sykesville as well.
Yeah.
like
All the businesses downtown.
69 of them.
69.
listed.
59 of them, yeah.
Yeah, so it's all the
Right,
downtown,
please.
yeah, Hampstead, Sykesville.
I usually make homemade gifts for my family, and this year's been a little light because I've been busy. So I actually negotiated with them, and my family said, we really like apple butter from your area. If you're not gonna make it, bring us some apple butter. And I thought, I know places to get apple butter in Westminster.
There you go.
And then they said, oh, and we really like those peaches, local peaches. So I'm gonna make them a little gift basket of all locally stuff.
Nice.
So now I'll just strategize how many places I
Peach,
should
you
go.
have peach jelly or peach butter
Peaches for box.
Just features.
Oh, this is
for Christmas,
for Christmas.
fresh peaches.
Canned.
Okay.
Oh,
What do you
yeah.
get?
Peaches. They can.
Wait, where do you get fresh peaches and stuff?
You can surprised how many places actually do local canning with their little label.
Yes, cute. Sandos, I know, wrong state. It's the fruit belt.
We have McCutcheons.
Too. All right, well, if there's no further public comments for our folks, I want to thank everybody for their time and their patience. We had a lot of working through to do tonight, so this was challenging, and I appreciate everybody's patience. Thank you.